Let's start with a fundamental truth. You can't make a good boyfriend. Either a man has the qualities of a good partner or he doesn't. And I know this might sound super obvious, but it's insane how many people actually stay in relationships where they're actively trying to change, fix, or shape someone into a version of a partner that fits their needs. But the reality is that you cannot mold someone into being good for you. A person shows you who they are through their actions, and it's your job to believe them. A lot of people, especially women, fall into the trap of thinking that they can help someone become a better partner because maybe he's got potential, or maybe if you just love him enough, he will step up. But if someone isn't showing up from the beginning, and I mean from the first date on, if they're giving you half-hearted effort, mixed signals, or just enough to keep you around, that's a pretty clear sign that they're not interested in becoming the person you want them to be or need to be. And here's where the real danger lies, because you actually start to compromise. You lower your standards, you justify his behavior, you tolerate less than you deserve, because deep down you think that it will eventually get better, but it won't. A person that knows their worth does not settle for crumbs. They do not chase after someone's potential. Instead, they look at the situation right now, what the person is offering them. They stand firm in their value and set boundaries that separate the boys from the men who are ready to show up for them fully, who are ready to be a boyfriend rather than you serving them as their girlfriend and not getting anything in return. One of the biggest traps in relationships is the idea that you can change someone if you just put the time or effort. It's almost like we see someone's flaws, their lack of commitment, or their emotional unavailability, and instead of recognizing it as a sign to move on and find the right person for us, we see it as a challenge to overcome. Like, if I'm patient enough, he will come around, or he's going through some rough times and he'll be different when things settle down. And this is frustrating because you are investing in potential and not in reality. You're putting your energy into something that doesn't exist yet, hoping that one day this guy will be the dream man you've always envisioned, that man you have created in your mind. But the truth is, either he is or he isn't. Relationships aren't about potential, they're about what's actually happening in the present. If someone isn't showing up from the beginning, if they're giving you half-hearted efforts, mixed signals, or just enough to keep you around, that's a pretty clear sign that they're not ready. Or worse, they're not interested in becoming the person you want or need. And this is so hard to accept because our ego comes in the way to realize that all this time we were investing our time and energy into a person that did not even value us. We don't regret the boy that we're leaving. To be honest, we regret the time, the effort, and the energy we wasted on a person that gave us nothing back. The energy we could have used to focus on ourselves, to better ourselves. Yet instead of focusing on us and realizing that this man is disrespecting our boundaries, we keep on going. Because the pain of realizing our mistakes or lack of self-worth is bigger than hoping that this guy will change. Neglecting your own personal preferences and neglecting your own standards is subtle at first. You start to make excuses for him, for why he's not treating you the way you deserve. You tell yourself he's stressed, he's busy, and maybe he's been hurt before and needs time to heal. But if he wanted to, he would. You think if you just give him space, if I'm patient enough, he'll come around. But how many times have you waited for him to come around? How many times have you forgiven the missed calls, the broken promises, the feeling that you're always the one giving more? And this is when you slowly lose your self-worth. You lower your standards, not all at once, but little by little. You start to compromise. You start to accept behavior that you would never tolerate in the beginning. You tell yourself, well, nobody's perfect, at least he's doing something right. But that something is bare minimum. He's giving you crumbs and you've convinced yourself that it's enough to survive on. But here's the thing, it won't get better. not unless he wants it to. You can't make someone want to change. Change has to come from within. You can't make somebody love you. If he's not putting in the effort now, what makes you think he'll suddenly wake up one day and start treating you like the queen you are? Love is not an arts and craft project. You can't mold someone into the partner you need by loving them more or by being more understanding. Actually, the more you compromise, the more you're teaching him that it's okay to treat you this way. You're showing him that you'll stick around even when you're not getting what you need, that you'll bend and twist yourself to make the relationship work. And guess what? He'll take advantage of that. Maybe not maliciously, but he will. Because why would he change if you're accepting the way things are? He doesn't have to. You're still staying with him. Why would he change? You're giving him everything he needs. You're giving him the perfect girlfriend treatment. While he just has to keep you around a little bit with some breadcrumbs. This way, you start losing yourself. You start to forget what it feels like to be truly valued, to have someone show up for you without hesitation, without games. You forget that you deserve more because you've spent so long settling for less. It becomes a cycle of hoping, waiting, and being let down. But breaking free starts with recognizing that you deserve more. You deserve someone who's all in, who shows up consistently, who wants to grow with you. Not because you've pushed or begged them, but because they genuinely care about being the best partner they can be. You deserve to be with someone who doesn't make you feel like love is a test or a challenge, but a mutual effort, something that enriches both of your lives. So stop trying to make someone a good boyfriend, because either he is or he isn't. And if he isn't, it's time to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself too much to settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. So how do you change this? You first need to recognize the pattern and identify the situations when you've lowered your standards or accepted less than you deserve. And reflect on those moments where you realize now that you have lowered your standards and ask yourself why. Why did I lower my standards? What was the reason behind me lowering my standards? Was I afraid that I was not going to get anyone else? Was I just trying to please somebody? What was the reason that you were lowering your standards? Identify that. Try to journal about it. Pray about it and really reflect on these past experiences to understand yourself and get to know yourself, why you think that you don't deserve this perfect relationship that other people have. Because you always have to keep in mind that other people, they have such an amazing, loving relationship. They get treated like a princess every single day. But somehow, a lot of people, including me sometimes, I don't think that I deserve this kind of love. Subconsciously, of course. Of course I want it, but subconsciously, which of course has something to do with my trauma, but subconsciously, I don't believe that I deserve to be loved in the same way these other girls get loved. So identify why. What is the reason that you think you cannot deserve, what is the reason that you think you don't deserve the same kind of love? Another thing that is very important is to set clear boundaries. Define what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not. And do this before you get into a relationship with somebody. Because you need to communicate these boundaries and really be firm with your boundaries, because a lot of boys, they're going to test your boundaries. They're going to see how far they can get, how much they can disrespect you, and how much they can get away with. So you need to be very firm with your boundaries and know exactly what you want. You have to know exactly what you want and don't compromise on that. Another thing I would suggest is that you focus on your own growth. Shift your energy away from trying to change the other person into changing yourself. Because a lot of times when we try to change the other person, we are actually very unhappy with ourselves, which means that we first need to do the entire healing and growing within ourselves in order to fully love somebody else. So instead of trying to change him, trying to change the way he perceives you. Make him love you. Love yourself first. Actually try to love yourself first before you try to change another person to make them love you. And this also ties to the next point, which is accept people as they are. If somebody shows you their true colors and how they react to certain situations, accept it. Accept that what they have shown you and how they have reacted in this situation is their behavior. Don't try to change their reaction or try to find excuses for their actions. No, if they are reacting like that to certain situations, if they are being aggressive, if they are being very insecure and jealous, if they're showing you how they are truly reacting to certain situations, believe them. Accept it and don't try to change it. Stop seeing the potential in somebody and accept the current reality. Because you need to stop dreaming about all this potential stuff, because this potential stuff is not real. You are building the partner you want in your mind by projecting these ideals onto the other person. And by doing that, you're making this other person so incredibly great, although they're actually kind of shit. But because you are projecting all these ideal standards and cute scenarios and cute actions they do in your head, for you they do it in real life, but that's not the case. You're falling in love with the ideal version that you've created in your head, not the actual reality, not the thing that this guy is actually providing you, which is absolutely nothing. And this also ties to stop making excuses for disrespectful or inconsistent actions. If he's not showing up for you, if he's disrespecting you, if he's not treating you like a queen, then why are you making excuses for him? Why are you rationalizing his behavior, saying, oh, maybe he was tired? No. If somebody's disrespecting you, he's showing you that he has no respect for you and you need to leave. Another thing is you need to start valuing your own company and also to value your time. Because most often, when we start getting into a relationship, we try to make so much time for this other person and we almost sacrifice our own hobbies. We sacrifice going to the gym, we sacrifice anything just to be with that person. But you need to value your own time. You need to value your own life. Because yes, you are in a relationship, but your own life is still the most important thing. You still need to value what your goals are. You need to stay consistent with your goals, because if you don't do that, if you just become invested in the other person's life, that person is going to realize that you don't really value your own life, and you will also fall into this pattern of realizing that you cannot hang out with yourself, that you need to be with this other person because otherwise you're not happy. But you need to realize that you need to value your own company and recognize that it's better to be alone than with someone who isn't fully committed. Because if you get so attached to being always around other people and having your happiness depend on other people, it will be so hard to leave toxic relationships, because you will be too scared to spend time by yourself, to focus on your own life and start improving yourself, because your happiness does not come from focusing on yourself and growing your own goals. No, it comes from hanging out with other people and putting all your energy onto them. But you need to take the power away from them, because they are not the center of your world. You need to make yourself the center of your own world. And you need to decide, do I want to spend time with them? Do I want to give them my energy? Because your time is limited. You cannot just spend days and days and days investing time and energy onto somebody who's not giving you anything back. Because your time is limited. Why are you giving other people, and this applies to friendships as well, why are you giving other people your time and energy that don't really deserve it. And in the end, you need to hold yourself accountable. If you have written your list of standards and you realize that, and with standards, I don't mean he has to have blue eyes and blonde hair. I mean actual standards. Standards that you accept, standards that you set in a relationship. And if he's not meeting that, then you need to let go of him. You need to let go of him. Because you need to respect yourself enough to realize that if somebody is not respecting your standards, if somebody is not giving you the love that you're giving them, there's so many other people out there who will give you exactly what you want, and even more than you now realize.